I can't wait to show you my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're looking at the Neca Halloween 2 Ultimate Michael Myers figure. Now in recent history, we got a Michael Myers figure from the 2018 Halloween film. This will now be the second Michael Myers figure we've received in Ultimate form. There are 11 Halloween films, so I really hope Neca can give us more than just these two. I know there's a lot of legal rights tying up the first film and several of the other films, but I'm really hoping we can get the Jason and Freddy treatment from Neca for the Halloween franchise. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. So you can see, Halloween 2, Ultimate Michael Myers. We've got the skull jack-o'-lantern at the front here. Top, Halloween 2. On the side, Halloween 2, Neca. Other side, exact same thing. The bottom, there is a barcode in case anybody needs it, as well as a bunch of credits. And on the back, you can see the figure in a bunch of his different accessories and poses. He's got his bloody eyes here. See the jack-o'-lantern accessory. There he is again. There's the bloody eyes. There's the blonde head. There he is, accessory, and there he is again. Now this is Neca's ultimate window box packaging, meaning you could open the front flap here. It's got some Velcro on the side. So on the inside flap, you can just see Michael Myers standing there. And then here's the figure. He's got a standard mask, some bloody eyes from the end of the film. It's blonde haired, which is actually a different character dressed up as him. They got killed during the film. Then we've got the jack-o'-lantern, as well as a bunch of different hands and some killing weapons here. So with no further ado, let's open this guy up. Alright, well now that we got this guy out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out, and he does come with a good amount of stuff. He has a jack-o'-lantern from the opening credits of the film, which is pretty cool. He's got a total of 3 different heads. He's got 5 different hands and 4 weapons. So this is the second Ultimate Michael Myers that Neca has released. They made one from the 2018 Halloween film, which is the 11th Halloween film. And now here we go, we've got one from the second. So 2 of 11 films scratched off the list. Hopefully Neca will continue to make these guys. I know there's a lot of copyright legality issues. So let's take a look at the actual figure here. As you can see, his face has that William Shatner mask. His hair's a little bit different than I recall the one for the first film. He's got bullet holes all over him. Of course, he's got that sort of mechanic suit on, jumpsuit, boots, more damage on the back. Overall, looking pretty cool. I'm curious to see how much reuse there is between him and the other figure. And then here's the figure broken down as far as he can go with all of his removable parts detached. So now let's take a look at his accessories. He comes with a total of 3 heads. The blonde head is one that kind of interests me the most, as it's a different character altogether. Ben Tramer from the film. This is somebody that they crashed into and killed thinking it was Michael Myers. Ended up not being him when they got the dental records. I do think it's cool to get that alternate look as well. And then of course we got the regular head and the one where he's been shot in the eyes, bleeding out of the eyes. He's got a total of 5 hands. I really like that jack-o'-lantern. It has some really cool features. Then he's got 4 weapons. One being a syringe that he killed at least 2 people with in the film. A type of scalpel that he used for the end part of the film. Of course his traditional knife, which he started out by using at the beginning of this film. And then a hammer, which I believe he killed the police officer with. So let's look at his hands first. He's got a total of 5 of them. 2 right hands, 3 left hands. Both of his right hands are able to hold items. One of them is going to be able to hold the knife and the hammer. The other one can hold really small items, such as the syringe or the scalpel. On his left hand, looks like we've got one sort of normal hand, then one maybe choking hand, and then a hand that can hold an accessory. Here he is with what I believe is to be his relaxed hand on his left side, and then he's got his hand that can hold a smaller item on his right side. And then here he is with his, what I want to say is maybe his choking hand or grabbing hand, maybe hold somebody in place while he stabs them, and still holding his smaller gripping hand on his right. And then here he is with his two most regular gripping hands. I do notice the right one is a little bit smaller than the left one. So he's got a super small right one, a small right one, and then a little bit larger left one as far as holding the accessories goes. And as far as his hands go, these two will be my default hands. The hand that can hold his knife, because Michael Myers always has to be able to hold a knife. And then his other hand, which looks like maybe he can grab somebody while he's stabbing them. Next, let's take a look at his heads. He does have 3 of them. The one in the center is his most standard, traditional Halloween 2 head. On the left, we've got Ben Tramer, a different person in the film. And on the right-hand side, we've got him from the final scene of the film where he got shot in both of his eyes, bleeding down his cheeks. Here he is wearing his standard default head, the one this figure came with, the most normal standard one from the set. Here he is wearing the head from the final scene of the film where he's bleeding out of his eyes. This thing does look pretty cool. And then here he is with the Ben Tramer head. As you can see, he's got blonde hair and blonde eyebrows. His hair's a little bit more in disarray than the other head. This is the coolest, maybe, or most unique, at least, accessory. I mean, the jack-o'-lantern's pretty cool as well. But it's pretty cool that this Michael Myers had nothing to do with this in the film. It wasn't him. I'm not sure how some guy coincidentally had a Halloween costume that looked like Michael Myers. But still, I think it's pretty cool, unique little kind of Easter egg accessory. Next, let's look at the jack-o'-lantern accessory. Now, this thing is really cool as well. Now, in both the first and second Halloween film, during the opening credits, there would be a jack-o'-lantern there, playing the Halloween theme song, credits going through, the jack-o'-lantern slowly changing as the credits roll in. To me, in my head, every time I think of the original couple of Halloween films, I picture a jack-o'-lantern kind of like this, and I hear the theme song. Just always been associated with each other in my brain. Now, this thing here is pretty cool. It's unique. The one they released with the previous Michael Myers figure, that one I believe lit up. This one here doesn't have a feature like that, but it has a different feature where it can open up, and there's a skull on the inside, just like the beginning of the film. And you can rotate the skull to the side, kind of center him up. I think that looks really, really cool. You can even see the sculpting and detail on the inside of the jack-o'-lantern. Then when you're done, just put it back to the side, shut her up, and you're good to go. And then here's this jack-o'-lantern compared to a couple of other Michael Myers jack-o'-lantern. On the left, we've got the one they released for the 2018 film. And on the far right, we've got the one they released for the 1978 film, the old school version that Neca released a long time ago. Now let's look at his weapons. He's got 4 of them: the hammer, the knife, the syringe, and the scalpel. These are all movie accurate and pretty cool. I can think of a ton of things I can use a hammer or a syringe for in my action figure world. Here he is holding the hammer with his right hand, the hand that I believe is intended to hold his knife. And he can also hold it in his left gripping hand. I believe this one is sort of mostly intended for the hammer. And then here he is, Michael Myers, holding his knife, probably his weapon of choice. Things looking pretty good. The figure's looking pretty cool. And then here he is holding the syringe. I remember that part kind of made me cringe in the film when he stabbed in that girl's head. I must say, this thing has some really nice detail. You can see all the different sort of measuring tabs on it. Really do like that. It's a lot of different coloring as well. The silver on the syringe, sort of transparent and white and black lines. And then here he is, just like in the film, slowly getting ready to kill this nurse with his syringe. And then here he is holding a scalpel. This thing's small, looking pretty cool, very movie accurate. I just watched this film last night, so I was familiar with all of the accessories. Next, let's check out the height of this figure, and this is a big boy. This guy here is sitting at just about 7 3/4 inches tall. Next, let's check out this guy's articulation. So, of course, his head, it can go from side to side. You can look down about that far, up about that far, not too bad. His shoulders can go out not quite 90 degrees, There's a ball joint inside of there. They go up, down, around, out. He's got double jointed elbows. There's a piece of plastic between the upper arm and the forearm here. So here's how it moves at the bottom half. And then here's how it can move at the top half. You can go pretty high up there. And then it has a swivel at the bottom and a swivel at the top as well. Then his wrist, it's on kind of a ball joint. It's hinged a little bit and it can rotate around. I guess not really a ball joint, but the peg has a ball at the top. So he has some kind of ab crunch, a little bit of waist swivel, and it can go up and down a little bit as well. It's hidden under his sort of soft rubber suit. His legs go out pretty much a full 90 degrees. You can see there's a ball joint inside of here. The legs can also move independently of the ball joint. His legs go forward that much, he should be able to sit down and back just a little bit. Single joint knees, and go back about that far, and they have a swivel at the top. Then his feet, you go up and down just a little bit. They can go from side to side no problem, and they can rock a little bit as well. Next, let's check them out compared with some other action figures. Let's start off with some Michael Myers figures. Here he is next to NECA's most recently released Ultimate Michael Myers. This is from the 2018 film Halloween. I'd like to see what reuse there is between the two figures. But as you can see, these guys scale up pretty good with each other. I love that we have more than one version of Michael Myers. I personally would love to have all 11 versions over time if it were to permit, even though some of them are really, really similar to each other. So these guys here, of course, their heads are definitely different. So their torso area here, it is different. It's probably just different rubber on top of whatever's underneath there, but definitely different unless you can see the pockets and the collar. So the upper arm is the same, the joint in the middle is the same, and the lower part of the arm is the same, just painted differently. The hands, this guy's using the smaller hand. Let's see his larger hand. It looks like it's a little bit different than the other Michael Myers. So the legs, it looks like the top part of the leg here is the same. And the bottom part of the leg here appears to be different. So this bottom part down here is not the same. And the shoes appear to be different as well. So there's reuse, but there's also some new parts where it didn't even seem like it would be necessary. Here he is next to the old NECA figure from the 1978 Halloween film, the first one. This figure was made back in 2004. So as you can see, NECA has sure evolved over the years. This guy here, believe it or not, is actually taller than either of these newer NECA Michael Myers. Michael Myers has always been sort of a big, slow, intimidating guy in the films, so it works. We finally have a little bit of a collection going here. So we now have all from NECA, Michael Myers from the first film, the second film, and the most recent film, which is a direct sequel to the first one, ignoring all the other films. Kind of interesting and appropriate at the same time. And then here he is next to Laurie Strode from the most recent new Halloween film. This is an older woman, better part of 60. She is no defenseless woman though. Love that the Halloween collection's getting big. I don't have a Dr. Loomis figure. It's an old NECA figure that's pretty expensive to get nowadays. Really do wish I did, and I might end up tracking one down. So here's my entire Halloween action figure collection. Really do wish I had that Dr. Loomis, or wish they would find a way to re-release him, or get the rights to release a new one. NECA unfortunately cannot release Laurie Strode or Michael Myers from the original Halloween, because they just legally cannot do it. Maybe the future will change, but for now, that's the situation. Here he is next to a bunch of different NECA horror figures from over the years. Some of these are old, some of these are newer. And then here he is, like a kid in a candy shop, looking at all the different murder tools in front of him, what to choose from. He is pretty partial with his traditional knife, though. Well, now that he has his weapons, he needs some victims. Here he is next to a few regular-looking action figures. On the left, we've got a Mezco figure from the TV show Heroes, and on the right, we've got some McFarlane figures from both Lost and Walking Dead. Thought these made for some great civilians and victims for Michael Myers. And then here he is next to some Diamond Select civilian and victim action figures that I think were good for this purpose. And now, of course, his victims are not always women. Here we go with a bunch of NECA figures, both male and female, that I thought worked good for victims for Michael Myers. And then here he is with a NECA Aliens Burke figure. This guy has that scared look like he's about to get eaten by an alien. Works great for Michael Myers coming up on him. And then that's what happens as Michael's moving on to his next victim. Here he is next to some old school looking cops. Look like they're from Haddonfield from the film. And then 99 times out of 100, what happens when cops try to stop Michael Myers? Well, they end up like this. Here's a couple of Resident Evil zombie cops that were great for police victims. Next, let's check him out compared with a couple of different action figure lines to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise in case you want to mix the lines. Now this is a big guy. He's even big for 7-inch scale. Here he is with some of his NECA brothers. These are 4 different action figure lines, well 5 if you count Michael from the NECA company. They're the same scale, but Michael Myers is a bigger guy than them. Here he is next to several different Diamond Select or DST action figures. And then here he is next to some McFarlane Toys action figures. And then next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles action figures. And then here he is next to some Mattel wrestling figures. I took some of the smaller and larger ones that I have. Here he is next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. Then here he is next to some Mafex figures. And then here he is next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. These guys are getting quite a bit smaller than the NECA figures at this point. So all in all, this is a very solid figure. Really happy to finally get another version of Michael Myers in the NECA Ultimate format. This one's from Part 2. We've now got from Part 2 and Part 11, if you want to call it that. There are 9 more versions to get, although no version from number 3, but I would love to get the 3, I guess, kids in Ultimate format, not the retro format that they're going to be making. This guy's articulation is great, his sculpt is great, the detailing is awesome, the accessories are great. I can't say enough good things about this guy. Big, bulky, massive, intimidating Michael Myers. If I were to rate this figure, I'd go ahead and give him a good 8 out of 10. Pretty high rating for me. The only thing that would make me rate him a little bit higher would be if he was the first release, because I was blown away by that one. That one sort of set the precedent for this guy. A lot of reuse. This guy's still great though. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.